Okay, well, I am in desperate need of a cup of tea and a lie down. And I had perhaps missed the natural follow-on question when Chris Trotter told me a couple of interviews ago, a few months ago, he wasn't really going to vote Labour in the 2023 election. But knock me down with a feather. What he just told us was that he is essentially going to vote New Zealand First for his party vote. And his thinking is he is too afraid of Labour's and the Greens' anti-free speech capabilities, and the Māori Party is too radical for him, too destructive, too willfully radical. He couldn't possibly tribally bring himself to vote National, given who he is, and act as a bridge way too far. He's not going to go Christian right or anything as anything else. So, and I just never thought I would hear that from Chris Trotter's lips. He says, so really the best vote, the strategic vote for his values and maybe to ameliorate the right is a vote for New Zealand First for Winston Peters. And as I said in the opening hour of the program this morning, I think we're seeing the political battle lines drawn. Luxon has pushed the Māori Party back into the arms of Labour, and this coalition of chaos idea is being formed. And on the other side, quite clearly, is it going to be 3, Greens, Māori, Labour, plays 2, ACT and National, or is it going to be 3 plays 3? And does New Zealand First figure in that? The latest Curia poll has them down, but the poll before that was 4.5, and we talked to Winston earlier this week. But I texted Winston to say, you'll never believe, basically, what Chris Trotter just said. And I said, could we ring you and get you on to talk about that? And he joins us now. Winston, are you as shocked as I am?
Yes, I thought this might have been you trying to play man, but then I think the fact is that Chris is actually seriously a thinker, and whether you agree with everything Chris writes, nevertheless, he does put some serious intellectual grunt and experience into what he says.
Wow. I mean, we've known each other a long time. I've known Chris Trotter a long time. I just never thought I'd see the day, Winston. But I was thinking back to a seminar I attended as a relatively young journalist when MMP was coming in. And we got a bunch of experts out from around the world, and one guy I think in particular from Israel, and he said, the thing you're going to have to learn as journalists in covering politics from now on is that almost nothing is impossible because MMP creates all sorts of cross currents and circumstances that one can't possibly imagine, that the comfortable left versus right two-party state system is gone, and all sorts of things are possible in politics.
Yes, saying that the Israeli commentator has to recognise that we have the highest threshold in the world.
Yeah.
The threshold in Germany is statewide. Ours is nationwide, 5%. And so it's a great controller or lever, so to speak, to keep idiots out of Parliament. And Israel has got 70 parties in Parliament, over 25. In our case, it's that much reduced. Yeah. And it has worked. And that's a very high threshold. And while the other parties are trying to reduce the threshold, I've always supported the threshold staying at 5%. And that's why.
Chris also said to me, and we talked about that earlier this week in an interview, he said he thinks the National Party would be mad not to reach an accommodation with you guys in Northland.
I have all sorts of people telling us what we should be doing and how we should be doing it and what arrangements we should be making. But let me tell you, for 30 years, we have always had the view that the public should decide these issues, not parliamentarians behind closed doors, that these issues should be up front. And so whilst I do welcome all sorts of suggestions, the reality is, whilst others have had all sorts of deals, like the ACT Party, the Green Party, the Māori Party, the whole lot, we never have. Yeah. Because frankly, the voters, I know it's not popular with media, it's not popular with journalists, but the voters come first in these decisions.
Yeah, well, tell that to the people sitting in the Parliament any afternoon now with the ridiculous state of affairs we got there, Winston. The voters have got nothing to do with Elizabeth Kerry or Whita Waiteri being in Parliament. It's a farce. Hey, look, I wondered also, while it's lovely to have Chris Trotter on board, and I think I'll give you his address, you can send him a membership application. I think that'd be a hell of a laugh. Is there a danger if the polls show that ACT and National are becoming dominant over the coalition of chaos, the other three parties on the centre-left, that kind of you drop out of the picture?
Well, again, you've got all sorts of predictions and forecasts. The reality is the polls are not showing that. The polls, of course, have been hugely different between all the pollsters, sometimes 40%, 50% different, and so you can't rely upon them. But a build-up is happening where we are concerned, and I have never concerned myself with the polls because, as I say, these things come in the rush to the election and much later than people think. Yeah. And at the moment, if what you were saying is true, then ACT and National will be way ahead, and they're not. And the reason is, of course, that they also suffer from that malignancy of not having the experience of having been in terms of their leadership in cabinet before. And experience and common sense is seriously important now, which I suspect is why Chris Trotter has come our way.
Yeah, all right. Now, you must do something. You're sending flowers or something, Winston.
No. We're grateful for whenever they come. In fact, it's building and we're packing the halls. I'm very confident about the next election, but we're not going to do rash things like sell our soul just to get into power.
Oh, come on, it's just a bunch of flowers for him.
Yes, well, okay, but I don't... it's such a shock that I'll have to think about it.
Hey, thank you very much for joining us at short notice, Winston. I'm glad to share that happy, though unusual news with you. Winston Peters, the leader of New Zealand First, the party that Chris Trotter, left-wing commentator, long-time lefty, is voting for. Are you as stunned as I am?